forgot to call you on your birthday. You swear you're the last thing on my mind, yeah. There is nothing
So I am finally here to show you how I am going to apply this unit. Right now it's not stuck on my head, it's just here. I'm going to actually apply it, and I am actually going to style this unit. And once again, this is the Bun Bun Brazilian Straight in the inches 10, 12, and 14. So let's get started. Okay, so here is my braid pattern, and the reason why I braided these, the top part going back, is because I have a lace top and I want to be able to part it exactly wherever I want to. So that's why I didn't create just one part. I want to be able to part it on the right side, on the left side, wherever I want to part it. I also just took the side. These two are like my anchor braids here to sew down the sides of the unit. And in the back, so for the back, I just braided my hair into a circle. And for all of those other braids that are going straight back, I just connected it to the circle. And I did not sew down my extended braid because I didn't feel the need to. I just tucked it in to the rest of my other braids. When I initially braid my hair down, I always oil my scalp, and this is my contraption of an oil. I use coconut oil. I use the Jamaican black castor oil. I use this grease that this African lady created for me, and I just put all of it in one. I warm it up in the microwave, shake it up really good. See, some of the ingredients from the grease are at the bottom. I shake it up really good, and I just grease my scalp. I've already greased my scalp a couple days ago, and I want to grease it now because it's going to be really, really greasy, and it's going to get onto the unit, and I don't want that to happen. So let's get started. And right now I'm already have a part in that I'm pretty much going to stick with. So I'm just going to find a section where I want it to be. So I want it to be like right here on this side. So now that we have the unit on, we are going to take a needle and thread. I'm using the nylon thread. I always use the nylon thread. And I am actually not going to go from my lace. I'm going to go from the actual cap. And as you can see, the braid actually lines up with my cap. So first I'm going to stitch my first stitch into the cap. And I'm going to loop it. The first stitch is going into the cap. Now I am going to go into my braid and back through the cap. Looping it. Now I'm going to go back through that same spot so that I can secure it and lock it down. So the way that I'm going to lock it is I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to wrap it around the needle 3 times, and I'm just going to pull it through. And that's one way to lock your thread. So now I'm just going to continue to sew down the sides. Right now, since since I'm by my ear, I'm going to lock this stitch by just going back through that spot. Back through this spot. I'm going to wrap it around 3 times and pull it through. I'm going to stop right here. I locked that stitch, so now I'm going to cut right there. If you want to, you can go back into that part again and secure it even more, but I think it's pretty secure. So now I'm going to actually do the same step on this side. Take my needle. Ow, I keep poking myself, y'all. Take my needle and I'm going to thread it through my cap first, just like I did on the other side. I'm going to loop it. And now I'm going to go through that braid on the side. Same thing on that side, just now I'm at my ear, so now I am going to lock this stitch down. So now this part is really, really important. Okay, now as you can see, my lace is still kind of far back. It's not exactly aligned where I want it to be. So for the little hairs that did not want to stay down in the braid, I'm going to brush them out. I did not leave this hair out on purpose, it just did not want to stay in. Okay, so I'm going to pull my closure up right where I want it to be. Okay, I am going to take my thread and I'm going to go right at the edge of the closure, right here. And I'm going to take my thread through it. I'm going to loop the thread in. Okay, so now that I have this thread on there, I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull really taut, really tight, right? And I am going to take that thread. I'm going to go in the back of my unit. So now once you get to the back of your unit, you're just going to thread your needle through the cap in the back and through the braid that you have. And then you're just going to basically pull it as tight as possible, and then you're going to lock that stitch in so that you can secure it and it will not move and your unit will stay put. It will not go anywhere once you lock that stitch in. So now you're just going to repeat the same step on the other side. You're going to stitch that thread through the edge of your lace closure, and you're just going to lock that first stitch in right there on the edge, and then you're just going to pull it to the back as tight as possible and lock the stitch in the back of your unit. As you can see, my lace is laying nice and tight by just pulling everything tight. And as you're securing that stitch to the back, you can go ahead and sew down the rest of your unit. You can also do this method if you're just applying the closure and not an actual wig. You can also use this same technique on your closures. To double secure your closures, we are going to take from both ends. We are going to part your closure in front. Okay. Flip that off. All right. I'm actually going to take less of my closure. I'm going to make mine just a little smaller. And now what we're going to do is actually sew across the closure here so that your thread won't be shown, 1, and 2, so that your closure won't slide backwards. Even though we pulled it taut on the sides, we still want to kind of secure the top as much as possible. So we're going to take the thread, and you can find your braids wherever your braids are. Just, feel for them. And that's where you can start. I'm going to start here, even though I don't think I have a braid here. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to take the thread, and I'm just going to loop it in once. You're going to pull it. I'm going to pull it one more time so that it can lock. Don't loop it this time, just pull it through so that it can lock right there. And I have strung in some hair, so I'm going to get that little piece of hair out of there. That stitch is nice and tight. So now we're going to look. I'm just going to pull it through. Do it again. Now, if you want to change your thread to brown thread for this step, you definitely can, but it's not a must. I mean, it's all on your personal preference. We're just going to continuously go across, making sure you're going underneath your braids. As you can see, you really can't see it. It's really like undetectable. I know that I said you can switch your thread out to make it brown, but honestly think that it all depends on the color of your hair. If you have like a blondish type shade of hair, if you have blonde tresses, then yeah, you would switch out the thread for like a brown thread. But if your hair is dark to the roots, then you can stick with the black thread because it's really undetectable when it's black thread. And as you can see, the nylon thread you really cannot see. It really blends in well with the unit. So stick with the black nylon thread, and the nylon thread is really thin, so it's perfect for this. Last one. So to lock it, I'm going to go underneath here, right on the edge, right there, so that you don't see that stitch. So I'm just going to go on the edge. Lock it. Bam. You have it. Still part wherever you want. It's not gonna look crazy. Closure. Not going anywhere.